Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Polly Watt, and I'm joined by my co-founder, Mike Voss. Between us, we've led, advised, and rebuilt more scale-ups than we can count. And today, we want to talk about something most founders avoid until they can't: investor readiness. But not the kind you put in your pitch deck, the kind that lives in your systems, your teams, and your leadership choices. We're going to show you where most companies stall, what's usually missing, and what to do about it. Whether or not we work together, we want you to leave today with a clearer map and a few concrete next steps. So let's get real. So if we start here, most founders feel friction before they see it. Things feel harder, messier, slower, but they don't always know why. And it's not because they're bad leaders, it's because scaling changes the rules. What worked when you've got 10 people starts breaking at 30 people. And what got you to say 3 million won't get you to 10 million. So if you're feeling that something's not quite right, but you can't name it, you're not alone, and you're in exactly the right place. So let's talk about what happens when your operations don't keep up with your growth. Suddenly, decisions that used to take a day start dragging into weeks. Your best people, the ones who you started with, who went through all that hard work with you, start looking elsewhere because things feel reactive, unclear, or just really hard. You lose energy, your team loses momentum, and you start losing cash in ways that don't show up on your balance sheet until it's too late. So this isn't theoretical. These are patterns that we see again and again in health tech, SaaS, ed tech, fintech, you name it. They all start the same way. The business grows, but the foundations don't. So the power of clarity. Now, let's flip the lens, because when it's working, when clarity is in place, you feel that too. It's fantastic. Meetings are short, they're sharp, people know what's expected, decisions don't stall because everyone's aligned. Your team isn't waiting for you, they're leading alongside you, and perhaps most importantly, the good people stay. Even if there's better money elsewhere, they stay because they love what they're doing and they love the way it feels. They're growing and they grow with the company, and that's real leadership. That's not firefighting. So the final part of this one is the mirror test. So investors don't just invest in vision. They invest in the ability to deliver on that vision consistently, reliably, and without chaos. They'll look at your pitch deck, sure, but then they'll dig. They'll ask about systems, metrics, team independence, and they'll know if the answers are fluffy. Because you don't rise to your pitch, you fall to your systems. And if your business is running on last minute decisions, that's what they'll see. This isn't about being perfect, but it is about being credible, repeatable, and ready.
Thanks, Polly. Hi everyone and welcome. Let's talk a little bit about some familiar signals. So if any of these ring a bell with you, let us know in the chat. Every week you're dealing with a new firefight. You're still approving every small expense because you don't fully trust your systems. You're still, everything, your metrics don't match. There's no transparency or alignment between different systems. Your strategy changes depending on who asks. You're hiring people to fix problems and not to build capability, or you're just working 70-hour weeks or more. Strategy lives more in your head than in the team's hands. If any of these resonated with you, you're not broken, you're scaling, and you're not alone. Most founders that we speak to are leading from instinct and not from infrastructure. They're running at speed, but they're dragging friction with them the whole way. So it could be that you're experiencing these things. It doesn't mean you're failing. It just means that your business is asking you to upgrade the systems that got you to where you are. So let's take a little bit of a pause here, and I just want to remind you that founders at this point often slip into some self-blame, and you don't need to. If you're seeing these signs of friction or inconsistency, team drift, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means that your business is growing faster than the foundations that you put in place were designed to handle. And that's normal. We call this the messy middle. You've made it past the real startup chaos, and now you're at a point where your level of growth demands different muscles, different systems, different depths of leadership, and real clarity. And the good news is it's all fixable, but only if you face it.
Okay, thanks, Mike. So this we're scaling stalls basically. So this could be 5 million. This could be 30,000. It's not really the price or the money that counts. It's when you're increasing revenue and sales and you hit the wall. So what you imagine in your head that you can do the same thing and you'll get better and better results. You'll get more clients, more money. It will all work. But because of the increase, the foundations start to buckle under the weight of growth. Suddenly, every decision comes back to you. Culture becomes something you talk about, not something that actually drives behavior. Systems that were fine for now, so we've all got those in the beginning of our company, like, do you build for now or do you build for an imaginary future? And every time you've built for now, that comes back at some point and you need to make some changes. So everything, hiring, delivery, strategy starts to slow down. And this isn't unusual, it's expected. The real danger is ignoring it and assuming that brute force will carry you through. It really won't. So let's keep going. So at 3 million, the chaos is manageable. At 10 million, it is fatal. So the truth is, if your operations are already strained, the more money there is, the more they will be strained. It often hides the problem temporarily or it speeds up the breakdown. This isn't about working harder, it's about building smarter so your business can carry the weight of growth without breaking you or your team. So now we're just going to have a look. I built a little Bolt app for you to try. And if you want to put this, if you want to click on the link in the group chat and have a go, it'll take 2 minutes and see what the result is. If you want to put the percentage you get in the chat at the end, that would be interesting to see. And that will let us know when you've finished.
Thanks, Polly. We'll pause here for a minute while you guys fill that out and then we'll move on. All right. So looking at the percentages in the chat, it's interesting to see where different people are on their journey toward being ready to scale effectively and successfully. Were any of those things really surprising to you? Did it uncover something that you didn't expect? You know, when we look at scale-ups that have made the leap from chaotic to high performing, we see the same five things in place. First, strategic clarity. Everybody knows the direction, not just the slogan. Second, team systems, where leaders actively lead and actually lead, not just do. Everyone is clear on their roles, their responsibilities, accountability. They feel comfortable and confident to make decisions when they need to. Third, performance dashboards. Dashboards that are transparent, they are consistent across different teams, across the entire organization, that show real data, not vanity data, and that everybody can draw the same information to make insightful decisions. Fourth, knowledge transfer. Nothing lives only in people's heads because if it's there, it's a risk. You know, we all know people move and they change. You know, people get to, we see a trend at the moment where, you know, skilled people in companies are at retirement age and there's a mass exodus there and people are worried about how to fill those gaps going forward. Robust knowledge transfer is critical to success. And finally, resource optimization. Do you know where every dollar or every cent you spend goes? And do you know why? You know, most companies we meet have, you know, one or two, sometimes three of these, but the ones that really scale successfully have all five. How many do you have? Put in the chat where you feel that you stand. All right. So let's talk about some things that we can really do. Let's get real. What are the things that you can do in the short term, the medium term, and the long term to make a real difference to your company or your business? So immediate things you can do. Let's talk about a few of those. Start by letting someone else make a real decision. We found a lot of founders tend to hold their businesses very close to their chests, and that can be a real blocker in unlocking scalability. So yeah, think about what you can do to let someone else make a decision, and rather than having somebody be a point where it might get stuck. Do you have any process that can be documented? Pick three of your core processes. How do you onboard? How do you run your stand-up meetings? How do you track deliverables? Write those processes down, make them real, not just tribal knowledge, and put them somewhere that everybody can access. Kill one meeting that's sucking time without adding clarity. I'm sure most of you already know which one you can do. These aren't just tasks, but they're signals to you and your team. And also, these are the things that will determine how successfully you can scale. How about some things you can do more in the long term, this month or this quarter? This is where the real change happens. Not by doing everything, but by choosing a few high-level moves and then doing those at least well. So start by making yourself replaceable in one area. It doesn't mean checking out. It just means building systems and trust so that your team can operate without you. Maybe there's a more higher value add process that you can focus on. Next, identify some core friction points, those spots where work keeps getting stuck, or decisions go round and round in circles, and fix them one by one rather than reactively firefighting them every week. And finally, focus on trust, not just on pace. When your team knows where you're going and how they fit in, you'll go further and faster with a lot less friction. I'd encourage you to sit with your teams and maybe document some of these things yourself. Look at them, be introspective, be honest, be open, and be ready to change. So here's the trap that most founders fall into when they think about this: guessing. Guessing where the real friction is, guessing which fire to put out first, guessing whether what they're doing is even working. And all that guessing slows you down, it wears you out, and it keeps everyone in the dark. Instead of guessing, could you make decisions based on real data, real context? Could you have access to a clear map? That's what we'll talk about next. So here's the why. Here's how we ended up coming up with what we've designed and built to address this challenge. We've worked with a lot of different founders, a lot of different industries, really smart people with strong products, with real traction, and yet their companies would stall. And there's nothing that pains us more than seeing a company with everything in place for becoming really successful, but stalling. And when that happens, founders will typically get frustrated and they might fall out of love with their company. What Polly and I have done here is not just a solution or a service, but it's a mission. We want people to be successful. We want companies to succeed, and we just saw the same things over and over, and we thought there's got to be a better way of doing this. Companies would stall not because of the market, but because of what was happening inside. It was the friction, the silence, the drift, no visible metrics, strategies that nobody really understood. We've worked with some of these organizations, we've worked with some of these founders, and we've turned around broken teams, and we've sat in the seat where you sit now. And so we didn't want to just build another tool. We didn't want to build another survey. We wanted to build something that could show real truth, early clarity in a language that you can act on. And so as we've done this, we've seen companies transform in weeks once they see clarity and clearly where the bottlenecks are and what they can do to address those. We've also seen other companies ignore these warnings and fail.
So here's what we've built to tackle everything we've talked about. We call it the ViVo Pulse Diagnostic. So ViVo is voices in, vision out. It's a 13-dimension organizational scan that gives you an honest, structured view of how your company is actually operating. So it's not gut feeling, it's actually based on facts. And it's not just the leadership's perspective, but it's everyone in the organization. So it's from your people, from the inside. We use structured voice interviews using a voice agent, not surveys, because you get better insight when people speak freely. And our AI maps sentiment, friction, and readiness into a visual that's clear and actionable. It's not a performance review, it's a fast, no BS mirror that helps you see what's strong, what's shaky, and what to fix first. And you probably won't like everything you see, but at least you won't be blindsided. So the way this works, we interview the internal teams, the whole team, and we hear directly from the team. All that data is then sent to our cloud storage, our data cloud storage, where we anonymize the data. It then goes down to our diagnostic agent, and it scores it across 13 dimensions and 132 indicators. So you're getting to see really where the cracks are and what's causing them and what people think. All the data is anonymized, so you get aggregated data of what everyone in management, what every employee thought, what every leader thinks. So everyone has the freedom to really say what they think. They're not going to ever be found out, so they can really say their truth. Then with the data, we produce visual charts that are easy for you to understand and see where the data is and what the data is saying. We give you quick wins that make a tangible difference and move the needle. We give you a strategic action roadmap, which gives you the longer term strategy that you should be employing, or, like what you should be aiming for. And then we can give you a one-to-one debrief if that's what you want. You can always just take the report and run with it yourselves, or we can help you put in a team of people to help you make those changes within your organization. So what we have opened for this session is 6 founder slots open for Pulse pilots. Normally they are $7,000, and we're doing these for $4,999 as a webinar only offer. It includes the full 13-dimension diagnostic, interviews, radar charts, roadmaps, and the optional debrief. We're only opening 6 slots to start, and we always do a short fit call first, because if it's not the right time or the right fit, we'll say no. So there's no pressure, just clarity. If you're curious, book the call. If not, take what you've learned today and lead from strength. So there's no dramatic close here, just a simple choice. Door 1, keep running, keep fighting, hold and hope the chaos holds. Door 2, build the engine you need. Start putting the systems and trust in place so growth doesn't break you later. You already know which one's smarter. The question is, are you ready to act?
We can show you the mirror, but you have to be willing to look. So if you're ready, book a strategy call. We'll ask you the questions and see if you're a good fit for us. You'll get the diagnostic if you qualify. It will give you the process, the roadmap, everything you need, and it will give you both quick wins and more strategic long-term wins to fix what matters, skip what doesn't, and raise or scale from a position of strength. Just to reiterate, this is a special offer for the webinar only. We can show you the mirror, but you have to be willing to look. Just to give you an idea of the value and return on investment for our ViVo Pulse, we did some homework to look at typical expected returns on investment when it comes to dealing with the things that we're talking about here. And it's not unusual to save up to $90,000 in 1 year from reduced onboarding, churn, misalignment, strategic priorities. Furthermore, you can expect to save almost 700,000 over the next 3 years, backed by real benchmarks. This is achieved through reducing dissatisfaction, reactive firefighting, aligning senior leadership, building trust, unblocking decision making, and retaining your momentum.
Okay, so if you've been nodding along at any point during the session, there's a reason. What you're feeling isn't failure, it's friction. And that friction is often a sign that the business is growing faster than the systems underneath it. You don't have to overhaul everything today, but now you've seen the leverage points, the things that, if fixed, unlock capacity, confidence, and calm. Whether or not you work with us, you've already taken the first step facing it. So I want to say thank you Thank you for showing up today, for listening, for reflecting, for being honest with yourself about what's working and what's not. Building a company is hard. Leading one through scale is even harder. And the fact that you're here asking these questions puts you ahead of most. Whether you choose to work with us or not, this conversation matters because it means you're paying attention and your team needs that version of you. There you go. Thank you.